All right, WandaVision episode 9 just premiered today. I actually got up really early to watch it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about it. Now, I'm not going to get into heavy spoilers, but I will be mentioning spoilers here and there. So be careful. If you have not seen this episode, I suggest you click away before I start the review of WandaVision episode 9. You have been warned. Now, WandaVision episode 9 continues right exactly where you would imagine it would continue from episode 8. The fight with Agatha Harkness and, of course, Wanda ensues. And basically, Wanda's just trying to defeat Agatha because all Agatha wants is the power of the Scarlet Witch, which is the nomenclature that Agatha gave to Wanda. And Wanda doesn't understand what she really is. She claims that she's not a witch. She doesn't understand her power. And she doesn't know the knowledge. And she doesn't want to be a witch. But unknowingly, Wanda is actually hurting people and making people forget about themselves, who they are, and pretty much the struggle ensues. Wanda is actually able to hold her own against Agatha in the fight. She actually does pretty well, but still Agatha has more knowledge over Wanda. Now, Agatha did mention that her problem isn't just her power, it's really just the knowledge moreover. And even Agatha name drops the Sorcerer Supreme in this episode, saying like, you're really powerful, you are something of chaos, and you're even more powerful than that of the Sorcerer Supreme, which is a Doctor Strange reference in this episode, which I'm glad we got. And I'll talk about Doctor Strange more later on in this video. I'm going to try not to keep this video long so I don't keep you here too long. But let's just say the episode was decent. Some expectations were just broken. And if you have any high expectations, I suggest you keep them like at a medium small level, because a lot of them, unfortunately, were not met. People were expecting an appearance from Nightmare. People were expecting an actual Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men universe. That didn't happen. Just to keep it short, the Pietro that we saw, it was a Fietro, a fake Pietro. It was just some kid named Ralph. And there's the mystery of that Ralph character that Agatha has been talking about the entire time. It was just some kid named Ralph Boner, to be exact. And it was quite hilarious, but a little disappointing at the same time, because we were hoping that this Ralph character had a deeper, darker meaning behind it. Maybe he was some sort of entity, some bigger villain. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Maybe we'll see that bigger villain in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, such as Nightmare or Mephisto or whatever. But anyways, I don't want to go stray away from the main topic. So the fight does ensue, and we get a fight, as you would imagine, from Wanda and Agatha. White Vision versus Vision. The children are involved as well. And it was so cool having the children be a part of this battle. It was a huge CGI battle between different characters all around. It was just pretty much all over the place, and it was really fun to see. Now, the fight between Vision and White Vision was very interesting, because White Vision's main goal was to defeat Wanda and also destroy the Vision. But Vision, the one that's fabricated by Wanda, manages to stop White Vision for a second and say, I'm not the real Vision. And then White Vision just stops, and he's kind of like confused. And he references the Book of Thesis. Now, I'm not familiar with the Book of Thesis, but this reference allows White Vision to take a moment to stop and think and basically compute all this information that Vision is given to White Vision. Basically, what he's trying to say is that I'm not the real Vision, but only an imagery, or like, I guess you can say a vision or a version of this Vision, but not the real one. And then Vision was able to actually tap into White Vision's computer or mind, however, and just, he basically told White Vision that your memories haven't been wiped, they actually been retained, but they're just being withheld, they're just being hidden from you, to, I guess, give, for lack of a better word, just basically telling White Vision, hey, let me unlock it, may I? And all of a sudden, he just taps his forehead, and all the memories from the past are unlocked. And White Vision's like, I am Vision. And he just jets off into the sky and disappears. We never hear from him again. But at least it's good to know that that Vision's going to be sticking around in some way, at least as White Vision, with the memories retained. And just like I mentioned in previous episodes, once this episode ends, Wanda manages to defeat Agatha by actually turning Agatha's own spell against her. And you know how in episode 8, Agatha mentions that the witch who casts the spell is the one that's unaffected by other spellcasters' abilities. It's not exactly like the same words that was used in that episode, but it was really cool to see Wanda basically use Agatha's abilities against her. It seems like Wanda was able to learn the rune spell in the background, and with given enough time, she was actually able to cast this rune spell within the entire hex, making Agatha completely powerless against Wanda. There was even a callback to Age of Ultron where Wanda was able to actually tap into Agatha's mind and make her hallucinate her like worst nightmare, which was the night of the Salem witch trials, where Agatha was about to get basically executed by other witches. But as it turns out, these other witches in this dream or this nightmare that Agatha was having was able to actually turn against Wanda and grab Wanda, which is interesting. It tells me more about Wanda's abilities. You know, even visions and nightmares can actually turn against the spellcaster, which was, I thought it was really cool. But all in all, like, the fight basically concluded with Wanda using that rune ability that Agatha casted in episode 7, I believe, and basically made Agatha powerless, and the fight pretty much ended. Now, Director Hayward was arrested, with Darcy just basically like ramming her ice cream trunk, or basically the tank, into her Hayward's tank. We actually got more sneak peeks into Monica Rambeau's abilities, where she's actually pure energy. Director Hayward basically shot at Monica Rambeau and the children, and the bullets basically phased through Monica as if she was pure energy, because that's what she is. She's pure energy. She's spectrum. She's photon. Whatever name or alias they're going to give her, we'll see later on in future movies or future TV series. But aside from that, it was awesome to see. Now, again, like I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, a lot of expectations were kind of broken. We were all expecting like another presence, like a bigger enemy threat presence to make an appearance or a cameo appearance. That Luke Skywalker cameo will happen to be an actual troll from Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany actually stated that there was going to be a Luke Skywalker style cameo appearance. That never happened. That was just basically Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen just trolling and messing with the fans. That cameo was just White Vision. It's just Paul versus Paul. It's Paul Bettany acting with himself as Paul Bettany. So that was a little bit disappointing. I had to make expectations, set at a normal level by episode 7 or 6. I didn't have any more high expectations anymore. I didn't think they were going to do something as outlandish and crazy as bringing some sort of entity like Nightmare or Mephisto in a television series. But then again, it wasn't too crazy to think about, but that's the fun of speculating. And aside from everything else, now you got to stick to the mid-credit scene. So there is a mid and there is a post-credit scene. The post-credit scene is much smaller, but so much is said in this post-credit scene that you can actually just start forming like these speculations and details. So in the mid-credit scene, we have like an agent who asks Monica to meet her at the theater because somebody wants to meet her. And this agent was pretty much a Skrull in disguise as an FBI agent. And this Skrull tells Monica, hey, there's somebody that likes to meet you. And she just basically points to this guy, basically implying that Nick Fury wants to meet Monica. That's why she's pointing way up there, because Nick Fury is still in the Sword Space Agency up in space. That's why she pointed upwards that way. And then Monica just looks up and just smiles. And then in the post-credit scene, we see basically Wanda, presumably at Sokovia, in a beautiful, beautiful mountain top, in a cabin, just sipping on her tea, sitting on her porch. And she walks into her cabin, and as it turns out, she's actually multitasking. While she's actually lurking around, in her place, having tea, we basically see her astral projection reading the Darkhold. We basically see an astral projection of Wanda in her comic book costume, by the way, reading the Darkhold. And while she's reading the Darkhold, you actually notice, if you listen closely, you can hear the children, Billy and Tommy, crying out for help, calling out for their mom. And she's just reading the Darkhold while she's doing other things like making tea. Basically, her consciousness in the dream world, her astral projection, is studying while she's able to do things in the physical reality, in the real world, which is really cool. And what does this mean for Wiccan and Speed? Well, I can only assume that we're going to see him again in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, at least probably like as teenagers, or maybe they'll age themselves once they come back to the real world in the sequel of Doctor Strange. Just learning all these runes and all these spells and improving upon her power and abilities. Now, presumably this will probably catch the attention of Doctor Strange, and we'll see the story continue and unfold in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I like that callback to Doctor Strange, where Doctor Strange is actually using his astral projection while he was lurking around and doing stuff in the real world. His actual projection was actually studying. Now, there's a lot of theories that goes into this. We already know that Wanda, Scarlet Witch, as she's called now, is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. The only thing that Wanda needs is the knowledge, and then basically she can hold herself against the Sorcerer Supreme. So this is going to be really cool. I can't wait to see where this character, Wanda Scarlet Witch, goes. We finally got to see her in her full comic book costume, a very modernized, nice touch to her costume. I love her headpiece. It had some like inscription into her headpiece. Her beautiful outfit is like nice and red and like dark and scarlet like color. She just looks really cool, and if I do say so myself, she looks really beautiful in that outfit. I gotta say, I'm not simping for Wanda. I'm just saying she just looks really good in it. But aside from that, guys, it was a pretty decent episode. Again, some expectations were kind of broken. It's sad that Ralph wasn't exactly who we thought it was gonna be. It sucks that Pietro is basically non-existent at this point. Wanda removed the hex, but as for Agatha's fate, she's still alive. However, Wanda is gonna keep her, I guess, imprisoned within Westview as the nosy neighbor. And if Wanda ever needs Agatha again, she'll know exactly where to find her. And that's pretty much how the episode ends. It was a pretty good series overall. I enjoyed it for what it is. It was great. Overall, if I had to give a rating of this series, I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Just lower your expectations if you're going into the series new, and keep your expectations low if you're going to watch episode 9. Sorry for the spoilers if you're watching this video before episode 9, but aside from that, that's pretty much all I have to say about this episode. I had fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on bell notifications so you all don't miss anything. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.